Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on our first ever episode of the Chad Chev Show, where we provide you with updates on the real estate and mortgage markets, as well as other real estate news and fun and helpful tips for home ownership. My name is Chad Tascatan, and I'm a real estate sales representative with Century 21 Percy, Fulton.
And I'm Chervon Hopkinson, also the property principal with Capital Lending Center. First off, we want to wish everyone a happy new year and hope 2018 will be the best year ever. What better way to kick off our first episode than to do an update of 2017, which I'm sure we all believe it was a very interesting year in real estate, whether you took part in it or not. Chad, what do you have to say for us?
So let's get started with a recap of 2017. In the first quarter of 2017, we saw record sales, as I'm sure everybody remembers. The market was really hot. It was all anybody was talking about. There were massive bidding wars. Houses were simply selling like hotcakes and at record prices. So of course, just like when this occurred over in Vancouver, the government noticed and had to step in and cool things down. So this is exactly what they did when they introduced the Fair Housing Plan on April 20th of 2017. The introduction of this plan, which included 16 comprehensive measures, mainly including the foreign buyers tax of 15% as well as rent control, almost immediately cooled things down, followed by a decline in quarters 2 and 3. The market pretty much bottomed out in August. Then the pace of sales finally started to trend upwards slightly in the fourth quarter as consumers started to adjust to the Fair Housing Plan introduced in April. We also noticed that some buyers pushed to make a purchase before the January 1st deadline, at which point the mortgage stress test was introduced, which my friend Chevy here will talk about in a minute. The average selling price in Toronto as a whole for 2017 was $822,681, which was up 12.7% from the previous year's average. This is primarily due to the hot market conditions that we just discussed in the first quarter. I also wanted to point out that the home price growth we started to see in the second half of 2017 differed substantially depending on the type of house. So detached homes, the most expensive type on average, experienced the slowest pace of growth as buyers were basically looking for more affordable options, which in return of course resulted in a significant double-digit growth in the condominium apartment prices. 2018, I believe, will be a steady market for consumers. We've already seen the market take a hit with the government's involvement in early 2017, and the market has started to adjust as we've talked about. January, February, consumers will basically try to figure out what they can afford due to the mortgage stress test, and the market should remain fairly flat during that time. Once this is settled and we've all adjusted and understand what our affordability really is, once we've talked to a mortgage specialist and did a pre-approval and really understand how this impacts us, that's right, the market should continue to improve. One important factor to consider is the news about the federal government aiming to bring in over 300,000 newcomers to Canada in 2018. These people will obviously need a place to live, right?
Sure.
So there are other factors which Chevy will cover. So Chevy, what about the mortgage side of things, my friend?
I'm in 2017. Boy, that was an eventful year for mortgages. First, the Bank of Canada increased their interest rates from 0.50% to 1%, which meant that banks also increased their mortgage interest rates to match. These interest rates were somewhat due to the fact, that the Canadian economy is doing great. Unemployment is low and consumers are spending. In addition, the Canadian government also introduced the stress test for uninsured buyers. So now, regardless of your down payment amount, you'll be tested to ensure that you can afford your mortgage at a higher rate than what the banks are providing you in the event of any future increases. My prediction for 2018? Well, with the Canadian economy doing well, that means consumers will continue to spend. Ultimately, this will trickle back down into the real estate market, and we should expect an increase in sales.
Okay, that's right. So Chev, let's just end this by saying we're very optimistic about 2018 and expect to see a comfortable and healthy market condition in real estate.
That's right. We'd like to thank you for joining our first episode of Chad Chev Show, and we look forward to providing you with more updates and helpful content throughout 2018. Happy house hunting, everyone.